Sri Mahavir Swami was the last and the 24th Tirthankar of the current time cycle. His symbol, Lanchan, is that of a lion. Of the 24 Tirthankars, he had the most adversities. He had to face a lot of severe karmas. In general, Tirthankars do not face karmas with the same intensity that Lord Mahavir had to face. Despite this, he always remained steadfast and finished each karma with equanimity. His courage was unmatched, and hence, he was called Mahavir. A lot of wonders of the world occurred during his reign. When he attained nirvana, the fourth era of the current time cycle was about to end, and the fifth era was about to begin. We can learn a lot from Bhagwan Mahavir and his previous births. So let us read about the life stories of Mahavir Swami with a pure heart. The scriptures have revealed the previous 27 births of Lord Mahavira. Of those 27 births, his first birth was of Nesar, in which he achieved the right vision, samyak darshan or self-realization. This birth marked the beginning of his spiritual journey, which became complete in his 27th birth. The first birth. Nesar was a woodcutter. He was a very religious and pious person. He used to do a lot of manual labor in the jungle. He cut wood and gave it to the king for use in the kingdom. He was very poor but generous at heart. He heartily helped anyone he met. Every day before he ate, he would look for someone who needed food. He would only eat after having fed such a person. While cutting wood in the jungle, it so happened that he once saw a group of sadhus passing by. A sadhu is someone who has attained self-realization. It is one of the 5 levels of enlightened beings, Panch Parmeshthis, to whom we pay our obeisance when we recite the Navkar mantra, Nyasa. The sadhus had lost their way in the jungle. It was lunchtime. So Nesar approached them and insisted that they eat. He served the sadhus with a lot of love and devotion. In return, the sadhus taught him about true religion. Because of his noble virtues, such as being respectful towards everyone, feeding the hungry with love, and serving the sadhus with great devotion, Nesar attained Samkhit, also known as Samyak Darshan or self-realization. He experienced that, I am the permanent soul and the mind, speech and body are all temporary. His inner vision changed. The right belief to see temporary things as temporary and permanent things as permanent was established within him. From the moment one attains Samkhit, a person's worldly life ends and their journey on the path of liberation begins. Until this right vision is not attained, it does not matter how much one chants, fasts, and meditates, one keeps getting caught in the vicious cycle of birth and death due to the binding of karmas. Self-realization is only possible when one finds a self-realized person or a jnani, so one should always seek a jnani. Then one day, like Nesar, we too will be able to attain self-realization. The second birth. Because of his good deeds, Nesar, in his next birth, was born in the celestial world. The third birth as Marichi and other 12 births. Thereafter he was born as Marichi, the grandson of Rishabdev Bhagwan, the first Tirthankar of the current time cycle, and the son of King Bharat. When Lord Rishabdev took Diksha, imitating him, Marichi also took Diksha from the Lord. However, he could not endure the strict rules of conduct, severe penance, etc., laid out for sadhus. Therefore, he established a separate religious sect called Tridandi, whose rules were somewhat relaxed compared to that prescribed for sadhus. Despite establishing his own sect, he continued to travel with Rishabdev Bhagwan. Marichi. On one occasion, King Bharat asked Lord Rishabdev who else from their family would become a Tirthankar. Bhagwan was Keval Gnani, hence, he had the knowledge of everything. So he replied that from our family, your son Marichi will become the final Tirthankar of this Chovisi. Not only that, before becoming a Tirthankar, he will be the first Vasudev of this time cycle, and will also become a Chakravarti. Hearing this, King Bharat was very happy. He went to Marichi, bowing down. He said, I am not bowing down to you because you have renounced the world. However, I am bowing down to you because in the future you are going to become the last Tirthankar, and before that you shall also become a Vasudev and a Chakravarti. Upon hearing this, Marichi felt very proud that, I was born into such a great family wherein my grandfather is the first Tirthankar, my father is the ruling Chakravarti, and I am going to become a future Tirthankar. Because of this, he binds karma. Although Marichi was part of the Tridandi sect, he preached the religion that Bhagwan Rishabdev laid out. He would direct those who desired to take Diksha from him to Lord Rishabdev and suggested that they take Diksha from the Lord. After Lord Rishabdev attained nirvana, someone who desired to become his disciple asked him, "What is the difference between Bhagwan Rishabdev's and your preachings?" Out of the greed to gain one disciple of his own, Marichi replied to him, "The religion that is there is the same religion here too." Because of this false statement, he bound karma, as a result of which he had to take multiple births. Births as a Brahmin, and births as a male celestial being in the celestial world. This cycle continued for a long time. His 16th birth as Vishwabhuti and his 17th birth in the celestial world. He was born as Prince Vishwabhuti in the city of Rajgruhi, now known as Rajgiri. His cousin brother was Vishakhanandi, whose father was the king. The two brothers were not very attached to each other. Of the two, Vishwabhuti was more powerful. Once Vishwabhuti, accompanied by his queens, went to a famous park, which was his favorite place. A little while later, Vishakhanandi went there with his queens. Now, according to their family's tradition, if one prince is in the garden, then the other is not allowed to enter. So Vishakhanandi didn't mind waiting outside for his turn. But when one maid saw Prince Vishakhanandi waiting outside, she went and falsely instigated Vishakhanandi's mother. The maid said that, even though you are the queen, your son had to wait outside for his turn. Hearing this, the queen was very angry. She told her husband to get Vishwabhuti out of the park immediately. To fulfill the queen's wish, the king played a dirty game with Vishwabhuti. He told Vishwabhuti that one of their subordinate kings had revolted and refused to accept him as the king. So, he would have to wage war against him and make him submit. Vishwabhuti told his uncle to rest and proposed that he go and fight on his behalf against the subordinate king. The king agreed. So Vishwabhuti left to make all the preparations to wage war against the dissenting king. However, there was no limit to his surprise when the subordinate king gave him a warm welcome and said that from his side there was no question of dissent. Vishwabhuti returned and narrated this to the king. Thereafter, when he went back to his favorite park for recreation, he saw that his cousin was there with his queens. Therefore, as per family tradition, he could not go inside. He understood the whole game that the king played with him. All this made him angry. With a lot of anger, he hit a nearby tree and said that, "You are my close relatives, or else I would have crushed all of you like this." Vishwabhuti. He developed dispassion towards the worldly life and immediately renounced it. He went to a forest and did a lot of penance there. After many years, he passed by a place where Vishakhanandi had come to attend his cousin's wedding. They saw each other. But just then, a cow hit Vishwabhuti, and he fell there. Vishakhanandi mocked him with bitter words. "You are so powerful that you can crush us all, and one cow has knocked you over, so where has your strength gone?" With that, everyone present started laughing at him. This mockery made Vishwabhuti very angry. He forgot about all his penance and renunciation and grabbed the cow, and as a show of strength he smashed and crushed it. Then he left there, but he was unable to forget the mockery from his brother Vishakhanandi. And because of that, he resolved to take extreme revenge towards Vishakhanandi in his next birth. Because of his great penance, his next birth was in the celestial world. His 18th birth as Tripushta Vasudev. After completing his lifespan in the celestial world, Vishwabhuti's next birth was as Tripushta Vasudev in Bharat Kshetra. Once King Prajapati's wife, Queen Bhadra, had 4 dreams which indicated that their son would take birth as a Baldev, whom they named Achalkumar. Later, King Prajapati's second wife, Mrugavati, had 7 dreams indicating that she would give birth to a Vasudev who would become a very powerful king. The parents named him Tripushta. As a rule, Baldevs and Vasudevs are always brothers from different mothers, and the love they have for each other is unparalleled in this world. And so, even Prince Achalkumar and Prince Tripushta had a lot of love for each other. From a young age, they both quickly learned different types of knowledge and skills. On the other hand, Vishakhanandi was born as the Prativasudev. His name was Ashvagriva, and he was a very powerful king. He had 16,000 subordinate kings under him. Once, a savage lion, whose name was Kasari, caused so much violence in the kingdom, due to which Ashvagriva announced that all his subordinate kings will have to take turns. one after another, and protect the kingdom from the savage lion. Hearing this, Prince Tripushta asked his father permission to represent him to fight against the lion. Then he went and ripped open the lion's mouth in an instant. The lion was in a lot of pain and was angry with Tripushta. Although Tripushta's charioteer did calm the lion down and helped him die in peace. In a later birth, this charioteer took birth as Gautam Swami, who was the first Ganadhar of Mahavir Swami. Ashvagriva learned of a prophecy which predicted that he would die at the hands of Tripushta. Therefore, Ashvagriva waged a war against Tripushta to destroy him first. However, in that war he was killed by Tripushta. Then Tripushta became the king of the half-world. Tripushta was very fond of music. However, he had instructed his guards to stop the music whenever he fell asleep. One day, it so happened that a group of very talented musicians were playing different musical instruments. A little while later, the king fell asleep, but the guard forgot to ask the musicians to stop playing. When the king woke up, he was furious to find the music still playing. He punished the guard for not following his orders by pouring hot lead into his ears. Because of this incident, the guard died with severe pain and suffering. This is how Tripushta bound severe demerit karma, whose agonizing effect came to him in the birth as Tirthankar Mahavir. The Lord had to pay for this nikachit karma while he was in the jungle doing his sadhana, and the guard, who was a cowherd in that life, pierced the Lord's ears with baru, long steel like blades of grass. He cut the ends of the grass that were sticking out so that no one would be able to remove them and left. The Lord had to bear this pain for 6 months, his next few births. Tripushta's next birth was in the 7th hell, where he had to endure the most unimaginable pain and suffering in order to finish his own demerit karma. Even after finishing an extremely long lifespan in such a horrifying hell, he had to take numerous births as different animals and insects. After that, he was born as a very ferocious and extremely powerful lion. With all his strength, he would cause trouble to anyone he came across. No one could go into the jungle, and anyone who did was killed by the lion. Once, 2 devas, celestial beings, came down to the earth and asked the lion, "Do you know who you are? In one of your previous births, you were the grandson of the first Tirthankar. You were also the first Vasudev of this current time cycle, and going forward, you are also going to become a Chakravarti, and you are going to be the final Tirthankar too. So come out of your habit of hurting others. Accept this right understanding." Hearing this, the lion became calm and expressed deep thanks and gratitude towards the 2 devas. He decided he would no longer engage in violence, and he would follow the path of absolute non-violence. He stopped having food and water. He laid down like a corpse and practiced severe penance for 1 whole month. He remembered his bad deeds and heartily repented for them. He became pure. The Lord remained unaffected through all the pain and suffering, and thus he became free from all his karmas by staying in equanimity. This is why people on the path of salvation seek suffering, as it helps one progress. Param Pujya Dadashri has always said, "Suffering is a vitamin for the soul and happiness is food for the body." So whenever suffering arises, we must consider that as a vitamin beneficial for the progress on the path of liberation. It is like this because the path of liberation is for the brave, not for cowards. When we fear suffering, it multiplies. We have to finish our karmas with tears in our eyes or with a smile on our face. No one can escape from it. Then why not face them with a smile? We are in the 5th era of the current time cycle, an era of moral and spiritual decline, Dushamkal, and therefore suffering will keep coming. However, we now want to overcome the ordeals that come our way and go to Mahavir Kshetra, from where we can go to moksha. For that, to know who am I, should be the primary goal of this human life. As a result of his extremely severe penance, the lion was born into the human life form again. He did a lot of devotional worship, and in his next birth, he became Chakravarti Priyamitra. He ruled the kingdom very peacefully and did a lot of good deeds. He took Diksha and became deeply engrossed in his sadhana. As a result, his next birth took place in the celestial world. Thereafter, he took birth as King Nandan, which was Lord Mahavir's 25th birth. In this birth, he performed the penance of Vis-Sthanak and bound Tirthankar Nam Karma, as a result of which he was born as a Tirthankar in his 27th birth. King Nandan's next birth took place in the celestial world, and thereafter he took birth as a Tirthankar. The Tirthankar state is the highest in the world. It is a great state. Not only do they attain liberation, moksha, but they help tens of millions attain liberation as well. When we bow down to such Tirthankars innumerable times, sing their glory, remember their life stories, and pay obeisance to them, it helps the energy of the self manifest within us. The 27th birth as Vardhamana Mahavir or Tirthankar Mahavir. The soul of Mahavir Swami Bhagwan was conceived by Devananda, the wife of Brahmin Rishabdut. This was one of the 10 wonders in the history, as all the Tirthankars are usually born in a kshatriya, warrior caste, family. However, as an exception, he was conceived by a Brahmin woman. The reason behind this was that in his previous birth, that of Marichi, he had expressed pride for being a part of the supreme clan. Also, as a Tridandi, he used to conduct himself as a Brahmin, and after that birth, he had taken many births as a Brahmin. After 82 days of conception, the throne of the Indradev shook. He came to know that a Tirthankar was in the womb of a Brahmin, not a Kshatriya. This was not acceptable. So the Devas shifted the Lord from Devananda's womb to the womb of Queen Trishala, the wife of King Siddhartha. Queen Trishala then saw 14 auspicious dreams indicating the birth of a Tirthankar. When she got to know that she will give birth to a Tirthankar, she was very happy. Mahavir Swami had 3 kinds of knowledge, namely Matignan, Shrutgnan, and Avadignan, right from when he was in the womb of his mother. As he did not want to give any pain to his mother, he did not make any movement when inside the womb. However, that made the parents worried. With his Avadigyan, the Lord saw that his parents were worried for him, so he made a little movement by shaking his toe. Upon sensing this movement, his parents took a sigh of relief. Seeing this attachment of his parents towards him, Mahavir decided in the womb itself that he will take Diksha only once his parents are no more. We too can learn from this instance. We should at least ensure that we do not make our parents unhappy. After marriage, our in-laws too are our parents. Therefore, we should take good care of our in-laws too, just as we care of our parents. Param Pujya Dada Bhagwan has always said that he would never forget the favor of even a person who offered him just a cup of tea. Then how can we forget the innumerable favors done by our parents? The whole purpose behind reading or listening the life story of great people is that their behavioral traits can instill good conduct in us too. The celestial beings were in service of Mother Trishala, taking good care of her until the Lord was born. They would always keep her happy. Trishala Mata used to have spiritual talks with celestial goddesses. Some of the questions she asked along with the replies of the goddesses are as follows. What is the most beautiful thing in the world? It is the pure soul. What is the characteristic of the soul? Pure consciousness. Then the mother asked, what is the form of the soul? Soul is full of knowledge. It is absolute knowledge. What is dharma? To come into one's own nature is called dharma. For example, a mango is known by its natural properties of itself, such as taste and color. Accordingly, when one comes into the nature of its real self or soul, then it is called Atma Dharma. What is the highest conduct? The celestial beings reveal that Vitaragta is the highest conduct. When there is no attachment and abhorrence towards anything, then one is called Vitarag. Who is the sinner in this world? The one who causes hurt or harm to others is a sinner. The biggest sin is to condemn one's faith, that is to condemn any god, guru, or religion. Who is a contented soul in this world? The one who dwells in the soul. What happens to one who binds neither good nor bad karma? That being goes to moksha. Who is the one having sanity? The one who is aware of what is of essence and what is not. Who is the most courageous person in this world? The one who forgives even his enemy. This forgiveness does not have to be given. It is natural. Who is the most foolish person in the world? The one who has attained a human birth, yet does not realize the self, attains self-realization. Who is the real courageous person? The one who annihilates the inner enemies of anger, pride, deceit, greed, attachment, and hatred. Who is called Jin? The one who wins over attachment. Who is the best person? The one who knows all the eternal elements, tattvas. Who is called Amumukshu, spiritual enthusiast. The one who is day and night busy aspiring going to moksha. Thus, when Lord Mahavir was in Mata Trishala's womb, she got such good replies from the celestial goddesses. These serve as greatest life lessons to us. Parampuja Dada Bhagwan, too, was asked certain questions, to which he replied as follows. What is that thing worth renouncing in this world? All temporary things. Who is the one in bondage, the one who is attached to temporary things, who is free in this world, the one who is detached from temporary things, which is the worst hell, to try and cause hurt to every living being? Which is the most beautiful thing in this body? The pure soul. What is the way to go to heaven, giving peace and happiness to others all our life? Who is the poorest in this world? The one who enters the race course, that is, the one who enters competition. Who is the richest in this world? The one who is totally contented and satisfied at all times in life, which is the biggest disease in this body. The disease of being reborn in this world, sansar rag, and suffering for countless of lives. What is the best medicine to cure this biggest disease? Go to Jnani. He uproots this disease from its roots. How do we know we are now free from this worldly disease? When we see the world as flawless, when we do not see fault of anyone in this world. Who is said to be sincere in this world? The one who is sincere to oneself. One who does not cheat anyone is called sincere to oneself. Which is the best service in this world? The best service is when one is mutely engaged in service of others all his life. Which is the best merit karma in this world? Serving your mother, father, and guru. Birth of Mahavir, Janma Kalyanak. On the 13th day of the rising moon during the Hindu calendar month of Chaitra, Mahavir Swami was born, having a golden complexion. He was so good-looking that anyone would get attracted to him upon seeing him. The celestial gods came down to bathe their Lord with pure water. They took him to the majestic Meru Mountains. As all celestial gods began to pour water onto the Lord, the dev in whose lap the baby Lord was seated got worried that how would such a small baby be able to bear so much of water falling onto him. Mahavir Bhagwan recognized this worry. To relieve him of this worry, he pressed the mountain with his small little toe. The dev immediately remembered that this baby was no ordinary being. He was a Tirthankar. He then sang a hymn in praise of the Lord. All celestial beings present there celebrated this event with great love and happiness. As the event ended, they brought the baby Lord back home and placed him next to his mother. The entire atmosphere was full of happiness and celebrations. When Bhagwan Mahavir was 12 days old, his father named him as Vardhaman. This is because right from the time when the Lord entered the womb of Queen Trishala, grains, pulses, money, and wealth grew in abundance in the kingdom. Mata Trishala brought up Prince Vardhaman with great love. When the prince turned 8 years old, his father put him in school. Gradually, as he became young, his parents decided to get him married. Vardhaman declined, but when he saw that his parents were not happy with his decision, he gave in and agreed to get married. He got married to Princess Yashoda, who gave birth to their daughter named Priyadarshana. Diksha, renunciation. When Vardhaman Mahavir was 28 years old, his parents died. As a result, his elder brother Nandivardhan was broken. He requested his younger brother to take the throne. However, Vardhaman clearly denied the offer and expressed his wish of taking Diksha, renunciation, as their parents were no more. Prince Nandivardhan was not at all prepared for this. He could not afford to lose his brother at this stage when he was already in a state of shock and sadness because of the death of parents. As Lord Mahavir did not want to hurt his shocked brother, he agreed to delay his Diksha by 2 years. Then, at the age of 30, after donating all his wealth for 1 year long, he finally abandoned his home and embraced the ascetic life of a monk. Upon taking Diksha, he attained Manaparyav Gyan. Later, a Brahmin named Devrishi came asking him for some money, justifying by asserting that he was out of station when the Lord was donating his possessions. However, the Lord no more had any money with him. Therefore, he gave away half of the only cloth laid on his body. The Brahmin saw that the cloth was a pricey one, so he followed him to get the other half too. After covering some distance, the Lord's remaining cloth got entangled in one of the shrubs. Mahavir Swami knew about what was going on in the Brahmin's mind. Therefore, he neither tried to remove the cloth nor did he look back. He left the cloth for the Brahmin, who was following him out of greed, and moved on. This is how we too should leave behind the karmas that have bound us and move ahead on the path of moksha, or else they would keep us entangled life after life. This incident from Mahavir Bhagwan's life inspires us to become like him who did not wait to collect anything, not even the half-cloth of his body. Nothing in the world could bind him. As Lord Mahavir moved into the jungles and remained engrossed in the mediation of the self, soul, as much as possible, the ignorant people, not recognizing the Lord and his greatness, performed several atrocities on him. Upon seeing this, the Indradev came down to the earth and offered suitable help to the Lord. However, the Lord denied, saying that every Tirthankar fights his karmas and goes to moksha. He is not afraid of facing them. As the Lord moved from one place to another, he observed certain principles which were as follows. Do not stay in a place where people do not like you. Do kayotsarg, that is, use your body to do penance for the purpose of salvation. Eat only that much food that can be held in your 2 hands. Practice silence. Speak only when essential. Practice sanity and normality, vivek, in rendering respect to people.